you see the excavator out there, see how it's set up? So that's so that it doesn't squash down the marsh. Those big treads, so it won't damage the marsh when they're working. Again, very specialized.
So this is called the ladder. That swings back and forth on the bottom, and on the end's that cutter head, and that'll sit and chew across that bottom and make that into a slurry. And there's a pump right there, and that's what pulls it in and sends it right out back. So right now he's setting himself over for another cut. He can make all his movements just with this ladder and his kicker spud. Tyler, want to pull your ladder up? Come up here once. There's your cutter head that spins around. There's teeth on there, chews it all up real nice. Makes a good slurry. Really close, you can actually see the arc of where he's digging because it's so shallow. So after it leaves the dredge, it follows this pipeline all the way around onto the bank. And then right past that excavator, a big pile of sand, that's where all the discharge is. And all the slurry pumps in there. The sand's heavy enough, it settles down and the water rushes out. And then we just grade it out to wherever we want it. Works pretty slick. There ain't much else other than that, you know. There's another door on the other side too, but yeah, you can probably go on the other side. Hey.
How does the GPS come involved with this? Is this...
So the GPS is set up to show you exactly where that dredge is. When he moves this dredge over, you'll watch it move over here. And it's also set up on this cutter head. So when he picks that ladder up, that cutter head comes up or down. Wherever he puts it, the computer tells you where it is. So he always knows exactly where he's cutting at.
Is that blade going to come back up at all, or that'll just stay down?
The ladder?
Or the blade?
That usually stays right at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
He's cutting. I brought it up to show it to you, and or if we need to clean it out.
Just one more time, just real quick, explain again what that screen's like. I can see the blade there, right?
Yep. So here's your cutter head, which is at the end of the ladder. That's cutting through the material. And GPS is linked to that. And wherever he picks it up or down to, that'll move to that level. So he follows a line. And that line is the grade we want the material to be after we're done. This is how much material is actually there. So as he cuts through it, it disappears. Same with up here. GPS is linked to the machine. When he sets that over, it'll follow him. It also tracks his progress. So all this dark blue here is all material, and after he goes through it, it turns to a different color so he knows that he already went through that material. And after he's all done, we come through and survey it, and they give us a map of how it cleaned up. It'll show us where he got a little high, where maybe he was a little low, and then we can go back and sweep through it and take up some more, or if it's most of the time it's usually very close and we can leave it right alone.
As you can see over in here, that low spot, that's one of the key areas that we have to do to restore. Basically what's happened is we've experienced sea level rise here, and these marshes are not draining properly at a low tide. They're always flooded, and so what happens is you start getting macroalgae and all sorts of things in there that's killing the marsh, the vegetation. And when you lose the marsh and marsh vegetation, you also lose the habitat value to wildlife. And there are several species of birds right here that are threatened because of loss of their nesting areas. So by restoring this area, we're going to have a healthier salt marsh and at the same time improve the habitat conditions for these species of wildlife that live in these marshes. So what's happening here is they have done elevations before and where they anticipate putting the material so that to dredge the marsh is going to be properly drained, so you won't have stagnant pools of water in there. So that's kind of the very simplistic explanation of how it's being done. Now the pipe is going to get moved just to strategic areas. And that big excavator that you see there, you see how wide those treads are. So it has very little impact on the marsh. It's not destroying the marsh. It's spreading that weight over there. Very specialized equipment, and this company specializes in these kind of things.
Light it up.
It's a little slippery. Yeah.
Remember we can get up without thinking about
exactly.
it? Yeah.
The whole purpose of this project basically is to try to restore the salt marsh to a healthy situation. Currently, as sea level has raised up, the marsh is actually drowning in place. Instead of it draining properly at a low tide, it's got big puddles of water in it, and you get algae and so forth that kills the vegetation in there. And as a result, there's a transition from the healthy salt marsh vegetation, the different diversity of plant life in here is starting to go away. And of course the other thing too, and very importantly, is that the environmental quality of the salt marsh is compromised. So the various species of wildlife is losing its habitat. And there are two particular species of birds that are almost getting extinct because of the loss of marsh area. So by recreating this salt marsh, so it's a healthy, well-drained marsh, there's going to be more areas for these species to survive and grow. And at the same time, the value in terms of fish habitat is going to improve as well, because you're going to get away from the stagnant, low oxygen water area into, again, a healthy habitat, because the salt marshes they are the primary producers. So you get various fish species that come in around the marsh area to feed, and that starts the food chain. So there's so many various functions of a salt marsh. It's our most important part of our environment is the salt marsh and the wetland vegetation. So hopefully we're by in a few years.
Yeah, this is also a win-win situation for everyone involved, because in addition to recreating an appropriate salt marsh, it's improving the recreational opportunities, the flushing of the ponds that exist here, and the opportunity and the boating, navigation improvements as well. So it's essentially a project like this is win-win. It's a win for the environment. It's a win for the recreational and continued usage of these very, very important salt ponds. These are basic to growth and reproduction of many of the species of animals, critters that we're accustomed to seeing, and without these salt ponds working effectively, that would be detrimental to the environment as well. So
having the clean breachways and having good flow is really the single thing that we can do to protect the water quality in the pond. Over the period of time, the development has occurred on all of these salt ponds, so you're getting a lot of nutrient enrichment, ultimately reducing the oxygen concentration in the water, and we have a what we call eutrophication is happening. But by having a good flow in and out of the breachway in these channels, it freshens the water, it dilutes the high nitrate concentration, so again, it makes for a healthier pond.
another benefit-related issue is we've been talking anecdotally with the commercial oyster farmers, the commercial operations that exist in Ninigret Pond and to a limited degree in Quonochontaug, and they've indicated to us that they feel that when subsequent to dredging, their crops in terms of growth of oysters is improved significantly with the additional flow of water associated with that. So it's again the win-win situation for all parties involved.
Is that rock going to get buried, or is that something to live with?
Yeah, I think we'll try and get rid of that. We're probably going to focus on that towards the end, get our production, because we're going to probably have to screw around with that a little bit to get get that where we want it.
Deep hole and dump it in?
Yeah.
We could just undermine it, let it kind of fall in.
Whether we'll try that, or we'll have to take the excavator and push it around, dig a hole and push it in. You know, you can only do so much with that dredge.
Right.
Because that cutter head sits and bangs on it and stuff, and that's pretty big. It's like to be pretty fragile.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Learned a lot today.